What is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to Friday. Massive, big boy slate. Not messing around. 14 gamer, at least as of right now. We could get some potential diciness when it comes to cancellations. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth going to be working hard tonight. Several spots where there is they need to be monitored. We'll discuss. And, of course, Roth will be coming on around 6:15 on Crunch Time. Take you all straight up the lock, give you the updates weather-wise. I'll go ahead and drop this link in chat for the people as well. It is myself, TJ Zwarich. TJ, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. I've forgiven you for recommending me the worst Marvel show of all time. Thankfully, I never started it. But you know what I respect, TJ? You even owned up to it. You said, you know what? It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't great. And you're the defender of all things Marvel. That's your brand. And even you said, like, you know what? It started out hot, and Secret Invasion just kind of petered out, I guess.
Fizzled pretty big time. If they turned it into a movie or like a straight to streaming movie or something like that, it would have been much better. And I think if you binge it all the way to the end, it would have been more enjoyable than week to week as well. It was just they omitted so many what felt like important story things. You kind of end up at the end the same place you are in the beginning, and it's just like, yeah, it was I love all that stuff, and it was the first show that it was for me that it was like, wow, I actually didn't really like that.
Shout out to the chat. Do appreciate y'all, and do appreciate Brian, TJ, who every single time we mention that you're one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, he's always there to say there's like 30 people living in Saskatoon. It's like 300,000 less than, like, more than 30 people. I don't know why he thinks Saskatoon is like some podunk town. It's legit, though. It's on the map and everything. There's a Wikipedia. Well, why is Brian such a hater? I mean, I'm sure we've cleared this up before. Why does he? What's the story here?
Brian likes to commit to the bit with it. It's just a fun thing we like getting going in chat. But we love Brian. We're not going at Brian today. Brian gets to take the when I'm in a bad mood, I get to take it out on Brian because he does the daily troll at the start of the Grinders Live. But when I'm in a good mood, then we love Brian. It's not going to bother me.
We have Kid Yahoo, Kirk Dees, who's based out of I don't know if it's a suburb. I think you're legit in Boston, right, Kirkwood?
Yeah, and I'm moving next month. Yeah, dealing with that too, dude. Real estate out here is ridiculous. It is a joke.
Is Bobby getting you to leave? Bobby Gomes being his neighbor too much of a hassle? Is he a terrible neighbor? Is that why you're taking off?
Well, it's a little scary him knowing where I am all the time. But it's more. I need more space, and so I'm just moving a little bit further out. I'm giving up some of the amenities and on the water, the nice like apartment complex that I have, and we're going to a 3-family house where I'll have 3 bedrooms. Nice. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's awful what I'm paying. It's like, I'm sure it's more than most people's mortgages everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Boston's it's one of the more expensive cities in the country, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll do it.
It's just, I'm just throwing money away every month. Yeah. But anyway, had to do it. Had to be done. So I'm dealing with that.
Otherwise, how was Friday? How do we feel about tonight's slate? 14 gamer. I did drop this in chat. I should verbalize it as well. Aaron Judge is back in Baltimore tonight. Baltimore currently yellow-orange, according to Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Straight orange in Pittsburgh. Zach Wheeler, certainly some interest there as far as the bump, so we want to keep our eye on that one. Orange in Pittsburgh seems like the diciest as of right now. And the other part of it, it's a two-pronged conversation, not just the precipitation, but just how scalding hot it is everywhere. Weather Edge, you look at the fire emojis. We got a fire emoji like everywhere. It's the Oprah and the car deal. You get a fire emoji. That will be Baltimore. Pittsburgh gets a fire emoji. We got a fire emoji for the Mets, Kansas City, St. Louis. I think that's it. I'm scrolling down. I believe that's it. But there's a lot of fire emojis. So a lot of heat and some potential weather. Kirkwood, your thoughts as far as just like we also have a Coors game that like is the most, I don't want to say uneventful, unappealing. 2 terrible offenses in Coors tonight. I'm curious how people handle that. Typically, they gravitate, but it's the Athletics and the Rockies. What do you have for me here as far as your general assessment, the old 30,000-foot view, as far as just like tons of pitching too, Kirkwood?
Yes, we have tons of pitching. most of it high end. We got some low end that I like. And I'm gonna say the same thing every slate. That what's the answer to the slate?
Braves.
It's always the Braves, right? And so if I can feel comfortable with two pitchers down there that can get me the bats that I want, then that's my first choice every slate. But and we do have that today, but we also have some high end stuff. But I've now kind of shifted focus. With all the good hot weather. First of all, I'm always looking to play like in a dome if I can, even though Chop says that the heat seeps through. It's to be debatable at this point.
He says a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually try to find my pitchers in domes and when it's all hot everywhere. But when you can't, I prioritize pitching less, right? Like we see some of these good arms get absolutely wrecked in some of this hot and humid weather. Dew point is real. I've actually in my model, my weather model, we're going through a big upgrade right now. I've been incorporating body mass index.
BMI is it?
Yes, into my projections with pitching. So in the heat, and so it's got some cutting edge stuff. It helped me avoid Lance Lynn the other night. And
what about for hitters? Does that factor in for hitters too?
No,
it's just a pitching.
May I make a slight suggestion that may even further improve the model?
Absolutely.
That doesn't exist.
Because no, of course it exists, Dean. Don't be ridiculous.
Only in Kirkwood's mind.
TJ's seen it. See, I show it to people that are actually that are offered.
Why would you not share it with me? Like I've known you longer than TJ's known you.
What do you bring to the table? See, I got a guy like TJ over here. Offering
to the table.
A lot. He's about to give me a great idea to incorporate. Cutting edge player.
So we want to use a.
He was already in before you gave me the idea. Go ahead,
Dean,
TJ.
I'm trying to utilize my science here. You want to use a different metric than BMI because it's an outdated tool. Somebody like Spencer Strider with those thick muscular thighs, he might have a high BMI and it might register him as overweight, but it's because of that insane muscle mass that he has on there.
No,
so we might want to use
I appreciate that, but we're already ahead of this. I appreciate that, and you're right. We should incorporate, but I've already incorporated this. So we have.
So he helped you in no way. So again, I asked, but why?
You think that's his first? You think that's his first suggestion? He's been here for a while, helping me out behind the scenes.
I'm here to help the people. By the way, if you're on DraftKings tonight, this might actually help you all as well. Several nights ago, I can't remember what contest it was, but there was some contest where you accumulated some free entry into another contest in your tickets. You'll see, at least this happened for me and several people in the Discord channel. We do mention this all the time now. The RotoGrinders Discord channels are free. Most of the Discord channels happen to be free. They've been opened up, not just premium members, but non-premium members as well. There's still some exclusive premium channels, but the one I'm talking about, the MLB channel, if you guys see like you have tickets tonight for DraftKings and you can't find where to enter them, and I couldn't, I had an issue with it, and somebody actually was kind enough to drop the link here in the Discord. Shout out to 4Score4 who dropped the link, making it a lot easier. If you're looking to try to enter those contests, and just a reminder, you probably forgot because they expire, I believe, tonight. If you're playing there on DK, you probably have yourself some tickets that you may or may not have entered. And other reasons to join the Discord is that myself and Kirkwood and TJ and others are just sort of hanging out throughout the day. Andy Means hanging out there throughout the day. Mr. Tuttle hanging out there. I've seen Alex there all the time. Join the conversation. If you're sitting around at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, you're trying to decide what's going on with the slate, start a conversation. People will interact with you. We're definitely gravitating over there more as far as Discord channel. Secondly, you want to go in the Discord channel today because we're doing a giveaway, a week free of RG Premium, not just baseball, but all the sports, all the tools, all the articles, everything. How would you go about getting that? You go to the live stream chat channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat, and you drop a thumb. Producer Steve is collecting those thumbs. He will take your name. He's going to throw it on a virtual wheel. We're going to spin that virtual wheel, I believe, around 6 o'clock or so. Steve, I think you told me the time, and I did forget. But before crunch time, we're going to spin that wheel, and whoever gets selected will get themselves 1 week free of RG Premium. Did you guys happen to have tickets to those contests? Because I did, and I couldn't figure it out. So I was happy that it's been settled. If you have them there.
I didn't have any tickets, but I got to say, I love Steve. Steve is not only a great producer, but a great guy. But it does give me pause and freak me out a little bit that he collects thumbs.
Well, you know,
Wait, he collects what?
Thumbs. People lose a
Explain
thumb. Steve
yeah,
just
it's a virtual thumb, but
in a
yeah,
box.
Virtual.
I'm not here to judge. I don't.
Well,
Whatever Steve does with those thumbs, so be it. You know,
people say Steve likes the reach around stacks. So.
Who says that? You say people say. Like, who are these people?
A lot of people
You can't just make accusations without any basis.
I just don't want to throw them under the bus. If someone says things to me in my DMs, then I keep it private.
All right, fair enough. All right, TJ, your assessment as far as this slate, an absurd amount of quality starting pitching tonight, a Coors game that like may or may not be interesting to some people. We'll see. I'm curious. There's some cheap salaries say in that ballpark of nothing else. The Braves and the Dodgers. The Dodgers will traded for a couple of. They're deeper now, so the depth they have in their bench. I know Dave talked about this in his article as well. I was thinking about it too. Kike Enrique Hernandez and Rosario. They did trade Thompson away today for the aforementioned Lance Lynn. We are on Hug Watch and Trade Watch. Did I see that? Was Drew Smiley scratched? Did somebody say that?
Yeah, no, I don't think scratched is the right word.
There's an opener.
They never officially announced him, I don't think, and it's Wisniewski now.
It's okay. He's only supposed to go. This is his debut. Well, I don't know if it's not his debut. Maybe his debut start. Regardless, they're only expecting 3 to 4 innings out of him, and then Smiley to cover the rest is what I saw.
Okay, so this isn't a Hug Watch thing. Okay, so it's just that Wisniewski is going to be the opener and Smiley comes in at some point. Okay, wasn't aware.
So Wisniewski was scheduled to start their AAA game today, and then got scratched from that, called up to start this one.
Yeah, okay. Keith in chat, and he's our resident Cubs expert, says Cubs situation still unconfirmed. Kirkwood nailed it. So, okay. And I don't know if we're not playing Smiley anyway. Just, I guess it's of note. Why would Smiley be a hot trade commodity? I mean, I wouldn't think he's a hot trade commodity, but he's probably somebody that could be useful to somebody, like some team, I'm guessing. But, yeah, not that any team's falling on themselves. Lance Lynn's got a 9 ERA and somebody has traded for him. I understand he's been unlucky, but arms are tough to come by sometimes.
All right, man. I love people arguing that he was like a good play the other night.
Oh, Lynn the other night?
I mean, this has been funny for DFS for a couple of weeks. We had some people remain nameless. I can't quite remember who it did, but they were talking complete game shutout for Patrick Corbin, possibly.
No, they said no. They said
it was in the range of outcomes.
Yes, in the realm of possibilities, in the 99 percentile
there
outcome.
Was zero. There was a 0% chance that was happening.
I'm still floating after my crunch time with Cardi the other night with him telling me and everybody else that Spencer Strider was a terrible play.
Yeah, it was so. I mean, he. Never mind.
There was context to that. I mean, I was on your side, TJ. I thought it was, it was a bold statement. But I like the big swing. I appreciate taking the ambitious big swing. And sometimes you're going to be right, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. That's sort of how it goes. But who was the guy?
To say that he was a bad play, like he was you also have to look at the pitchers who were on the slate, and
yeah.
So and also all you got to do is watch a game with Lance Lynn. All he throws are fastballs. And these guys just sit on it, and he gets strikeouts, but he gives up bombs. Anyways.
Do you not like the move of the Dodgers? Like the Dodgers, obviously their arms have just
I like that the Dodgers are. I mean, it's what these. Why not? Right? Like they can do these things. Go for it. I like that they're making moves, but they'll see what works, what sticks. I don't think Lance Lynn is going to be the difference maker, but maybe he turns it up a little bit.
I don't understand, not to derail the show, but Cleveland trading for Syndergaard is like the weirdest. And he's going to be in the rotation? Like they think Syndergaard can still pitch?
Yeah, I don't understand. Confused. I don't understand. Like to me, that looked like a tanking.
Yeah,
but
I'm so confused by it. Syndergaard was once the most electric stuff in the game, and his K percentage is like 16% now. It's so bad. He even admits he's like, yeah, I would do anything to have this stuff I once had. It's just. It's over for him. It's so odd. And Cleveland's in the mix. But whatever. I don't want to derail the conversation. That's a conversation for another day, I suppose.
You know who's not in the mix?
Who's that? The Angels?
The last place Yankees.
Oh, are they in last place?
Let me. They were. I hope I didn't just put my foot in my mouth. I didn't check the last couple of days.
It's close,
Busy.
probably, but I don't know if they're officially in last. Boston jumped them.
Yeah, we had.
I mean, you got to know this for sure before you call them out.
Yeah, they're last place. Last place. Yeah.
Yeah, but they would be in first for what it's worth in the Central. But yeah, that's just how that goes. They're 54 and 48. They're one game behind Boston, and the Central leading Twins are 54 and 40. Cleveland right on them, and Cleveland. I know they're without McKenzie and they're without Bieber, and they're desperate for arms. But Thor's not the answer, and the Dodgers are trading for Lance Lynn, and they threw away Thor because they know he's damaged goods. But whatever. Another conversation. Weird move by Cleveland, in my opinion. But tonight, TJ, there is a ton of arms, a ton of good arms tonight. Garrett Cole, not the best matchup in the world, but Garrett Cole, we've seen the K's rise of late. Your boy, Kevin Gausman, probably the most popular amongst the guys up top. Yeah, I'm on the Fanduel ownership, and he's at 18% currently. I want to see on DK. I believe he's going to be our top guy in DK. Yeah, 30%. Scherzer at 21% against his former Washington Nationals team. Wheeler currently at 21%. Good matchup against Pittsburgh. Good ballpark as well. But there are some weather concerns.
I think Roth just updated. There might not be. I don't think there's weather concerns in Pittsburgh anymore. It says Pittsburgh looks much better than the models had it earlier today. I'll leave it at a chance for delay, but I'm starting to think it's likely they avoid even that. So I had Zach Wheeler out of my pool because of the weather, and he's now being fully reinserted. Yeah,
yellow-green. He's right back in. Cleveland, Chicago, just downgraded to orange-yellow, by the way, for what it's worth. So that's worth noting. But, we don't care about pitchers there. There's no chance of rostering Toussaint and Curry. By the way, Curry is 9K on DK, which is certifiably outrageous. Our current projection as far as ownership, Kirkwood, what would you guess the current ownership projection is on Xavier Curry on DK at 9K? What is the projected ownership?
0.1.
TJ, higher or lower than 0.1?
-3.
0.05. So, the under.
I got it.
1. Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. Loaded.
I would be so heated if I didn't just win the Showcase Showdown for that, getting so close.
Well, you can't go over. You know how the Showcase works, right? Have you not seen the?
That's why I just said I'd be heated. I would be heated.
Yeah. TJ, run down the pitchers. How you want me to play the game? Are we going to play the feud? As far as how many pitchers are in your pool?
So I'm playing 150 lineups today, as well as a single entry on Draftkings, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitchers in the pool.
9. Okay. Kirkwood, you're making what? One main lineup? What's the plan? What's the the attack?
Yeah, I got one main lineup on 2 sites.
It sounds like, if I heard you correctly, and I have a guess where you're leaning, that you're gonna be playing the Braves, and you're gonna be playing 2 of these 6, 7K pitchers. At least one of them. Is that kind of where you're at right now?
Yes, that's where I'm at. So I want to play Gausman and my boy Cutter or Grayson.
Sure. Yes.
I like Grayson. I like more from a ceiling standpoint, but I also worry about just kind of the humidity and the weather there and the heat in general. But I still do like them. It's the Yankees. I've been saying it forever that this season they're dog water. So I think there's a yes, they get Judge back, but we'll see how he
there's
looks.
K there too.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that may just be an extra couple of Ks for him tonight until Judge figures it out, gets his timing back and whatnot. But who knows? You never know how to predict that. But or I like Cutter, and if you go down to the coolest temperature game out in San Francisco, cheap price, had not the best of start in the rain against the Mets in his last one, but I expect a much better start against San Francisco. We know there's K's there for him, and he's just so cheap. So I like both of those. I have no problem playing both of them.
Pitch count, Kirkwood, for Cutter.
What's the pitch count? But again, pitching is less of a priority for me now with all this weather and heading into August in a couple of days. So, like I said, so I'm looking for the best spots to pitch, and I'm looking for guys that can, I'm going to prioritize my bats, and I'm going to look for guys that can get me some strikeouts, and those two fit the bill. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to work, obviously, but that's how I'm going. But I would rather have Gaussman and with one of them, but we'll see if I can make that happen. As of right now, I got both the cheapies on DraftKings.
And you got a Brave stack, 4 or 5 Braves, at least 1 or 2 of the pricey ones?
5 of them. Yep.
Yeah. 5.5 total versus Adrian Hauser. It's 85 degrees in Atlanta, which, by the way, seems a little like, when compared to everywhere else, it seems Atlanta's kind of cooler than everybody else by comparison. When you're talking about Kansas City, it's 98 degrees there. Nick Lachey's hanging out there in KC tonight. 99.
Wait, what do you have the temperature in Atlanta?
According to the RG page, it says 85 degrees. Is that incorrect?
I have.
What is your model say?
89 degrees, but it doesn't. That's still hot.
Yeah, well, I'm saying but it just doesn't it feel like Atlanta? It's hot Atlanta. Traditionally, it would, if everybody else is like 92, 93, 94, or 95, it should be in the 90s too. And it's not, but it's not cool.
The humidity there, TJ knows with my model, even at 85 degrees, this is still a really, really rampant hitting environment. So this is a great spot for bats.
You got to send me the DM of your model. I mean, if you don't mind, you trust me with it. I mean, I'll sign an NDA if you need me to.
I don't. I told you ever since you recommended Top Shots to me on that show, I have never been able to trust you since.
That's it. There's no recovery.
You had your chance.
I have a confession, by the way. I was in a Top Shots queue the other day because I had some tickets. I saw the link on Twitter. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'll join the queue. And I didn't make it. They ran out of packs. I don't know if I was lucky.
I mean, I saw Osimo complaining about the WNBA. I mean, Osimo is in so deep. It's I can't believe he's still in this.
He's a big WNBA fan, I believe. I've seen him at the games, texting out and tweeting out. But I was kind of bummed. But I'm like, what am I really opening up? It's just opening up stuff is fun, and I think you'll attest to that, weren't you? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, you were opening Rainmakers like the delivery room, were you not?
Yes.
Is that not a thing?
That's absolutely true.
Okay.
I went crazy waiting. You're
Stressful.
waiting. You're trying to. You're waiting. There's all these things. Oh, maybe a C-section coming up, maybe not. So I filled the time by just pack after pack after pack. And I ended up doing great on Rainmaker. So I ended up working out. I was very unhappy with myself coming home. I was like, how did I let that happen? But anyways, it all worked out for the better. Rainmakers at least that's great. Rainmakers, you get all the utility in the contest. At least what I still can't believe I bought Top Shots.
But you don't see how cool it looks? I don't know. All right, we shall move on from the inevitable Top Shot conversation for sure. By the way, for what it's worth, Atlanta for some reason is always a little bit tricky on our site, and with Weather Edge trying to figure out. So maybe that's why the Atlanta temperature is a little bit, I guess, off. I did a quick Google. It says 91. Somebody in chat is saying I'm in Atlanta. It's 94. Feels like 100. Yeah, in no way am I suggesting Atlanta's cool. It's just it's not 99 or 100, or at least that's not what I thought it was. And other places are like St. Louis and Kansas City. Kirkwood, you know how the feud works, right? You played the feud before? If you watched Baby Billy's Bible bumpers, it's basically the same thing. If you're aware of that from Righteous Gemstones, where, TJ, he's got 9 pitchers in his pool. We'll kind of bounce back and forth and figure out who those 9 pitchers happen to be. Obviously there's some low hanging fruit up top. It's pretty simple, but do you care to go first? Do you want to go second? How do you want to play this?
By the way, Baby Billy, just exquisite character. What a great character.
Incredible.
And he was, and in that teacher show, whatever, he was awesome in that show too, whatever.
Vice Principals.
Yeah, Vice Principals. Yeah.
Only 2 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame. I love that show.
It was, I wanted to be a little bit better. I didn't dislike it, but I wanted to be better. Shout out Big T, Big T in chat. He hears Baby Billy, and all of a sudden he
Uncle
makes an appearance. Yeah, Baby Billy is just every single week he steals a scene. just spectacular. And TJ, you get the HBO, you get the Max up there in Canada. Are you aware of Righteous Gemstones?
You know what Big T needs?
What's that?
Big T
Top
needs
Shots.
Kirky's UFC picks. He's having a rough go of it lately in the UFC streets.
Well, hook him up. I know you do pretty well.
I know. I'm right here. I don't know what he's not. I'm here. I'm crushing every week.
Well, there you go. I mean, why just
big fights?
Everybody can use them. We all can
Big
use your
fights
winners.
tomorrow. Tomorrow's an electric day, by the way. This is like almost Christmas. We've got UFC, then we've got the boxing fight too, where there's actually like a good boxing fight.
Who's fighting? I don't know. I'm ignorant to it.
Crawford.
First name?
Don't worry.
Who's
Just look it up.
Right.
Terrence, I think.
Okay. Middleweight, heavyweight,
Welterweight.
welterweights. The sweet science. All right. Spidey's made an appearance for some reason. I'm not sure if Jason wants to.
It's Spence Crawford. It's going to be electric.
Spidey, did you want to chime in? You have something to say? Oh, you know what it is? We must have Spidey bombs. Are we at 50 likes? We haven't even announced it just yet.
We're at 50 likes already, so it's time for the first Spidey bomb. Keep hitting the like button. We'll get our next one at 100, next one at 150, etc., every 50 likes. This is from one of my favorite contrarian stacks today. I can't even remember who specifically does it, but one of my guys in chat's about to call me a homer. I like the Blue Jays against Giolito, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is Spidey bomb number 1, plus 370 on Fanduel. I got some wild home run bets odds today on playnow.com, this website I use in Saskatchewan. Like some of the odds I got are just ridiculous for home runs today. I got Vladdy at I believe it was plus 450, but that's not plus 475, but that wasn't one of the crazier ones. I got Julio Rodriguez plus 570, Alex Bregman plus 700, Bryce Harper plus 625. Just some ridiculous ones today. So hopefully we get some home runs hit.
Aaron Judge, by the way, plus 265 his first game back here in Baltimore. Plus 180 on Caesars. Good Lord. Imagine betting that. If you want to get it on FanDuel, plus 265. Still, I don't know. I tend to like home run bets that are getting you a little bit better odds there. Second guy like Matt Olson, plus 280. All right. Maybe we'll sprinkle in more. Do you have any juggler bomb there to counter, Kirkwood? Do you have one offhand? Do you have a couple in the chamber for the people?
I got some in the chamber. We're going to need at least 1,000 likes for these bad boys
1,000?
today. Yeah.
Well, are they guaranteed homers?
Guaranteed.
Okay. Fair enough. 1,000 seems a little bit too ambitious, but maybe we'll make it happen. All right. In TJ's pool tonight, are you going first? Am I going first here, Kirkwood? We're playing the feud.
Who's in his pool?
Yeah, his pitching pool.
Number 1, Kevin Gausman. He's Toronto. I mean, he's that was the easiest pick of that was the.
But like, how much percent is like that's the conversation?
It's going to be his highest. It's going to be his highest.
Okay,
correct. Kevin Gausman is my highest owned pitcher. I have 47% right now.
Because you're a homer, or because he's good, or both?
Because he's really good. Gausman with guys like DeGrom injured right now. Gausman is probably my number 2 DFS pitcher in baseball, and so going up against the Angels, we don't have that much to worry about outside of Ohtani. Yes, guys like Mickey Moniak have been hitting with a ton of power this year, but Gausman's been striking out a ton of guys from the right side, from the left side. He's my top guy on the board.
By the way, Kirk, we're talking about this fight. Brian in chat says he had a chance to fight Crawford in the amateurs, but his coach put his son up against him. I wonder how that turned out. If Crawford's a champion or close to a champion, I'm guessing not so well for his son. But
so Brian, if we ever get in like we got to file Brian away for like one of these DFS boxing battles. Like
he's the 1-1.
We got to get him calling out draft cheat somehow and like get them to fight and then
get a ringer.
Yeah, we got a ringer. Shout out to Butthole Jenkins. Shout out to Butthole Jenkins. Good to see you, bud.
Just a random shout out.
Yeah, just a random shout out in chat. Always appreciate when he listens to the show.
Kirk, you like Gausman? You're prioritizing Atlanta bats, and we live the world of salary caps. So you're just probably not getting to him, and that's the issue. It's not going to happen.
That's the issue, unless I just fade Big Ron because he's been hasn't been, his bat's cooled off a little bit. The problem with him though is that he's leads the league in stolen bases, and he's got the best odds via the bet to steal a base today at like 45%, I think it is, which is just ridiculous. If he gets on, he goes. So it's like he gets there either way.
You said Acuna's Big Ron. Is that what you called him?
Yeah, Big Ron.
Okay. Is that an official, or is that an official nickname, or is that a Kirkwood nickname?
That's a Kirkwood. That's nothing.
You're gonna vouch on that one's actually not legit. Okay.
Wait till we get. Is Master Bono in the lineup tonight though? I got his official nickname.
Did you see the organist for St. Louis, what they were playing when he was at the plate? Do you know what I'm talking about or no? There's an organist, that plays those songs based upon things or whatever in St. Louis, and the Cubs are visiting St. Louis, and they were playing that song by, I believe, the Divinals, I Touch Myself, from the 90s. Do you recall?
I don't mind anybody else. When I think about you, I touch yeah. That's one of your songs, Dean. I Touch Myself.
No, I was saying that's what they played publicly in St. Louis. For the greatest fans in the world when Master Bueno went to the plate. They personalize these things. You know how this works. All right.
I wish I saw that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. I'm gonna say, okay, so let's just throw some guys out. Let's do it this way too. McClanahan's not in the pool. You're getting full price. The matchup against Houston. Houston's getting healthier. McClanahan's not really fully stretched out. He's been a little bit shaky. TJ, confirm or deny McClanahan not in the pool, correct?
Correct. McClanahan is not in the pool.
Okay. I feel like he should him in the pool though.
Is he though? There's so many good pitchers.
He's like so off the wall now. He's gonna be like my minuscule ownership, like extremely low owned.
Okay, but what are his chances to beat everybody? And that's it's kind of what he has to do.
I think they're there. I think it's better than 1%.
I think there's a better chance of Patrick Corbin throwing 9 innings than that happening. But
Patrick Corbin will never throw a complete game shutout for the rest of his life. That will never happen. Okay, Shane McClanahan can do that. He can't do that tonight.
I think he's got one more in him. It's possible.
He will never. Put that on my grave. Okay.
Houston's tied for my favorite sneaky stack with Toronto, so I will not be playing any McClanahan.
Yeah, I mean, so that's interesting because I don't really know if I'm picking on Houston. I'm not making 150. I'm almost definitely not picking on Houston. I'm sorry, picking on McClanahan with Houston, but that's an interesting thought for sure. Okay, so let's continue playing the game. Gausman, of course, is in the pool. You want to say Max Scherzer? I assume Scherzer's in your pool, TJ. Confirm, deny? Tell me as far as your ownership, where you're at as far as Mad Max versus the Washington Nationals.
Scherzer is, in fact, in the pool. I have about 15 to 20% Max Scherzer today. I like him, but he's not one of my top guys. And
you also said you moved Wheeler back in. I like producer Steve is dropping our Family Feud gifts here. I do appreciate that.
Naked grandma.
What? Yes, that is. I know what you're talking about. That is a meme I believe I saw. Wheeler is back in with the weather getting a nice boost from the positive perspective as far as precipitation, rain not likely to be an issue per Kevin Roth's update. Where is Wheeler as far as your ownership? Like for sure, Wheeler's got to. Okay, you should confirm, I guess. Tell me he's not, but I assume Wheeler's in.
Wheeler is in my pool, yes. Similar to Scherzer, probably going to get about 20-ish% of them.
All right. Throw another name out there, Kirkwood, that you think should be in TJ's pool.
Well, if he's going to want to pay for some bets, you have a couple of low guys in there at all? You got to have some Grayson Rodriguez.
I do. I have a maybe silly amount of cheap guys today.
You got to have Cutter.
Got both of them. Cutter is going to be.
And you're going to play You're going to play Singer because you're a Cheese disciple, and Cheese is going to bat for Singer. So you got to respect that.
Everything you just said was correct, but I also want to say that Keith and I were on Singer, maybe more me than Keith, but no, both of us were. We're on Singer on the morning grind when we recorded last night as well. So Cheese being on him as well.
So maybe
you're saying Cheese is plagiarizing? You're calling Cheese a plagiarizer? That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, that's what I hear too.
Anytime I have a thought and Cheese has the same thought, I just double down on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good conversation to have, by the way, because like the SB2 cheapie, they kind of open stuff up, and theoretically you can double down on these guys. Kirkwood, Crawford, right? Crawford, Grayson Rodriguez, Brady Singer, and there's one more. Who am I missing amongst those cheapies? I saw somebody in chat throw out JP Sears. He's not even that cheap. I know the Rockies stink, but I guess you can do that, but I'm not doing that. Miller, yes, thank you. And Miller for the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's going to have some Miller.
I got lots of Miller. Miller is my second highest owned pitcher.
Can we rank those guys? Like, let's rank those SB2 guys, right? Crawford, Miller, Grayson Rodriguez, and Singer, because I have Singer fourth out of those guys. And I'm not playing Singer, and I respect Cheese, of course. And I'm gonna be playing some Minnesota bats, and that's one of those classic both ways where Minnesota could strike out a bunch of times and also hit 3 or 4 homers. Both those things can happen, and it's scorching in Kansas City, triple digits on layaway. So, but I'm leaning toward the Minnesota side as opposed to Singer, just because I think the other cheapies are better. Kirkwood, could you rank those 4 for me, because they're all interesting to various degrees?
I think you're missing a pretty crucial one for good SP2 options, and then I also have another one in there.
Did I miss somebody? Okay, well,
I think Mackenzie Gore is in the conversation as well.
You're right. Yeah, he should join that too.
And then I also have Sears in my pool.
Okay.
Yeah, I would expect that too. So I'll rank the cheapies first. So I'll say the tier of there's a Grayson, Sears, Cutter tier, and also Brady. Brady's down there too, right? So I personally would go Grayson, Cutter, Singer, Sears. That would be the way that I rank them, but
that would be my order as well if it wasn't for weather, but because of the heat and humidity in Baltimore, and then also the potential for postponement still in that one, that drops Grayson to the bottom for me.
Oh, there's potential for postponement. Let me see.
Looks very likely we'll get a delay of some sort, but my guess is a lengthy late start and eventual play.
You know what? I'm currently fading Roth's weather.
What do you mean?
After burying me on the parlay that I bet last night, the weather parlay he gave out, the pick on scores and odds, the Mets did not come through in the great hitting weather.
Can we get a scoreboard of like the shots fired? Shots fired at Cardi. Shots fired at me. Shots fired.
I can dish them out. I just can't take it.
Who have you not taken shots at in this show?
TJ and I we've been great.
This has been our like most together show that I think we've ever had between Kirk Dees and I.
Yeah, that's because TJ's not gutless, right?
Like the Mets. The Mets are gutless.
Absolutely gutless. That's the problem, is that Roth doesn't have my gutless ranking. So
I'm ending the show right now. Goodbye.
Producer Steve, resident Mets homer. He knows. I mean,
let's talk payrolls for baseball squads.
Oh, so bad. They're like $50 million more than the next team, and they're not even like going to make the playoffs. They might even be sellers. Like, it's possible. Maybe they move like Verlander or Scherzer. They probably don't, but it's possible. All right. What are we talking about here? What the conversation was derailed.
I wanted to derail one last thing. It turns out Fernando Rodney can do it all. Our boy in chat is also an MMA fighter.
Oh, there you go.
On the regional scenes,
we got some talent in the chat.
We got some talent. I wouldn't mess. We got a strong. Those are two strong. If we ever need to fight another company, we got two strong chat members.
Is it no holds barred? Does he have the arrow while he's fighting? How does that work? Or is he just the arrow stays on the outside of the octagon? I'm not sure if he's allowed to bring it in. I don't know how it works, but if it's a sanctioned fight or not. But yeah, all right. Let's delve into those. You mentioned like Sears is in your pool, TJ. So you have all these cheapies then. If you have Sears, unless you think Sears is like better than like 3 of those guys we just ran off.
No, Sears is my lowest owned of all of them, and then Grayson Rodriguez is the other guy that I'm just lower on now than I was prior because of the weather. But all of these cheapies are in my pool, yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Singer and Crawford are the 2 that I'm ranking above everybody else. I'm going to have around 25% of them, and like my 4 highest owned pitchers today are going to be Gausman, Miller, Crawford, and Singer.
Jorge Polanco back today for Minnesota, by the way. Is your favorite? I know you're a Cutter homer for sure, and I like him too, Kirkwood. And I mentioned before, like the pitch count's like the one hiccup, but it's kind of built in as far as the price. The ballpark's pretty good too, 7-2 on FanDuel. Not sure if he's going to get that quality start. On DK specifically, we're talking about is the sevens? 6-5, even cheaper. Yeah, and we're giving him 84 pitches as like a baseline. So, you're losing an inning essentially. Miller, I like too. I don't really like to pick on Cincinnati. Pretty solid offense, but I like the arm talent there as well. Projection-wise, I should actually give us a refresh because it's been about an hour. So let me see if we have a new batch of ownership. I bet it shuffled up a little bit. I'm saying words to buy time as the spinning wheel comes up. Okay, ownership-wise, Gaussman 30%. This is as of, I guess it's about the same. As of like 50 minutes ago. It'll probably change again. So, Kirkwood, we got Miller at 15% on DK, Cutter Crawford at 12, Grayson at 12. Garrett Cole's getting 7%. Just worth acknowledging that. I know he's at a different price tier, but just nobody's playing Cole today, which is, I guess, interesting, but I understand why, just because of salary and all that kind of stuff. Musgrove, somebody else you could acknowledge, 17%. He's more expensive than this batch, but amongst the cheapies here, Kirkwood, Miller 15%, Crawford 12, Rodriguez 12, Gore 6. Remember Mitch Keller is really good. He's still really, really expensive, and he got worse, so he's getting 2% ownership, and Singer's getting 2% ownership. Sears at 1. So if you want to play that ownership game, like 15%, 20% is low enough, I think. But your last assessment as far as this, this pool of cheapies, mid-tier cheapies that are all interesting to some degree.
Yeah.
I'm maybe getting. Oh, sorry, I wasn't sure if that was me.
No, go ahead. I thought it was. I wasn't sure of who it was either. Go ahead.
Like these mid tiers and the cheap guys are going to be the ones I'm focusing on the most today by far. And just by keeping my pool at 9 in MME, it's giving me the ability to be overweight on basically everybody that's in my pool. The only guys that I'm not, and I'm pretty much even with, are Scherzer and Wheeler, which I'm totally comfortable with being even to them. And then I'm going to try and get overweights on basically all of the other guys in my pool and just go hard, full fade on some of these guys that feel uncomfortable, like Musgrove and like Garrett Cole. But I just, with the weather there with Garrett Cole and a tough matchup, it gives me enough confidence to hit the X button. And then same thing with like Logan Webb. Even I worry about the upside a little bit. Joe Musgrove, I worry about the upside. And so, it's tough to draw some lines. Christian Javier, Jordan Montgomery, 2 other guys I'd like to consider, but just I need to draw a line in the sand somewhere, so they got the X for me.
By the way, no Buxton for Minnesota. They got Polanco back, Buxton out. I'm not sure if it's like a standard day for rest or his back's flaring up. I don't know what the story is there, but Buxton is not in the starting lineup. Andrew wants to know any dart throws on Freeland. I mean, it just doesn't seem necessary. I know he's down to 5.4, but it's not that much more for all these guys that we think have at least a puncher's chance, right? I guess Freeland does too because Oakland's kind of pretty terrible.
I got a thought. I have a thought there. So
go for it.
As a company man, I like to see all the different content that members of our company put out. And Charlie Wright, put out a little piece today on and in it was Kyle Freeland and his splits at home, how they've just been absurdly ridiculous. Like he didn't realize how much better he is at home. He has a 14.2 K percentage on terrible on the season, but it's 20.4% at home. So you get a nice little bump there. He's had his ERA. Well, I think he has his Sierra listed, but ERA much lower at home. So like if you wanted to take a GPP dart on somebody that nobody's going to play. And again, you're grading on a curve here. Now it's a huge slate. And so some of these pitchers are probably going to have big games, but a lot of these pitchers may blow up in these good hitting weather conditions. So someone, if you can get a good game out of someone cheap and someone that's going to be absolutely unowned, I mean, that could be the difference on tonight's slate. So
how many more likes here to a Spidey bomb here, TJ? We got to be closing in on 100, I'd imagine. Are the people hitting they smashing it? They caressing it?
They're doing a decent job. We're not quite there yet. We got 400 people watching, so I'm going to need us to bump it up a little bit more. Get me up to 150 for our third. I'd love to give a fourth at 200 before the crunch time crew gets here. I'm ready to dish out the second one, though, because I know we're going to get 3 more people hitting that like button quick. I mentioned I like Toronto and Houston as my 2 contrarian stacks. And Spidey Bomb number 2, I'm going up against McClanahan This guy's been hot. You can find him for plus 600 at Caesars. Alex Bregman did only.
There you go. Aiming at the Crawford boxes. Jared in chat's asking double spend up a pitcher for cash. I'm not playing cash tonight. I don't know if you are, Kirkwood. I ran some optimals on DK. I think the one thing you should say if you're playing cash on DK, you get Gaussman. And then the SP2 is a variety of options. There's no clear-cut option. You can make it Cutter Crawford. You can make it Wheeler. If you have the salary, I think Wheeler is the most ideal. Do you have a take as far as SP2 or just your pairing for pitchers on DK when it comes to cash? Because it's not perfectly clear.
I think it's Max.
Yeah? Okay. Max clearly over Wheeler?
Wheeler, Scherzer, Crawford, and Miller would be the four that I'd be okay with.
Yeah, I think just the savings and the matchup with Washington. Plus, you get the little revenge angle there. He
doesn't seem like an emotional guy, Max Scherzer, right? He doesn't know anything about vengeance. Oh, maybe he does. I think things ended well with Washington. I'm not sure. I don't recall. I feel like they won. He won a championship there, if nothing else. By the way, we should mention we heard producer Steve chime in a little bit ago. If you're just joining, if you're not aware, we're giving away another free week of RG Premium. How are we going to give that away? We're going to give it away through our Discord channels, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Jump in the live stream chat channel. That can be anybody that can jump in there, just as long as you have an RG account. It doesn't have to be a premium account, any account. And just give your thumb to Steve. Steve is going to collect that thumb. He's going to translate it into your name on the virtual wheel. He's going to spin that virtual wheel in about 10 or 15 minutes or so, and then we'll get you hooked up. And like we said, it's not just MLB. It's all the sports, everything with the exception of NASCAR. You get your MMA content. I'm hearing it's a fun weekend for MMA as well. Golf, I would say NFL, but of course NFL does not start within a week. But anything that's going down sports-wise, you get and you get the tools. You get the optimizer, you get the projections, you get Dave Potts' article, all that good stuff. Everything. Again, jump into the live stream chat channel in the Discord, and we'll be doing that in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Did we get all 9 of yours, TJ? I know we ran out a bunch of names. It's a big conversation. It's a lot of pitchers. Some good pitchers that just don't make it. I think is Garrett Cole in your pool? I'm guessing he's not. Maybe he is.
He's not. No.
But he certainly could be, right?
It's not the worst. And if weather was no concern, he probably would be.
Okay. And you mentioned like Webb in passing. Like Webb's a good pitcher, but Boston is a pretty contact-heavy offense, and I think I heard you say he's not in the pool for you.
He's not. I have a over 6 strikeout bet for Webb today, but I don't have him in my DFS pool.
You want to give me your the summary as far as pitchers, and you want to run down your pool? By all means, please share with the people.
So Gaussman is going to be my highest owned guy today. He's going to be in near half of my lineups. But for my single entry, I'm actually going double cheap, which is something I believe Kirkwood said he was going to be doing something similar today. I'm going Cutter Crawford and Brady Singer in that lineup. But Gaussman's going to be my highest owned pitcher. Bobby Miller comes in number 2, followed by Crawford and Singer. And then the last group of guys, and then Zach Wheeler and Max Scherzer, both in like the 20-ish% range. And the last few guys that I'm sprinkling in are Grayson Rodriguez, who I would have more of if it wasn't for the weather, Mackenzie Gore, and JP Sears.
Currently, our consensus rankings on DK, myself, Kirkwood, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. Probably Potts will be on in about 25 minutes or so with Roth, and I believe SquirrelPatrol, who was it yesterday? Not too long ago, he took down like the entire day. Like he won everything in the morning, won everything at night. It was a spectacular triumph for him. So good for him. They're going to be on later with Roth. Roth will tell you what's going on weather-wise. We have Gaussman number 1. This is on DK. Wheeler number 2, consensus-wise. Scherzer number 3. Musgrove, Bobby Miller, Logan Webb, Cutter Crawford, Grayson Rodriguez. A little bit of love for Brady Singer. A little bit of love for Garrett Cole. And there was a shout-out for Mackenzie Gore. Kirkwood, give me your summary as far as pitchers before we talk about some stats.
I mean, we've said it. It's Kevin Gaussman is the clear number 1. The thing about him is you get he's got the best stats. 32%, almost a 33% K percentage. Swinging strike rate's good. Walk percentage is low. But a great example was his last start, right? He gave up 4 solo shots and still had 20 DK points because he gave up no walks, right? Like, so it's and he had 9 Ks. So like, he just brings a really good floor to the table, and he has a massive ceiling too. So he's the clear number 1. Everyone else has a little bit of some warts on them, but there's so many good options tonight. The way I'm going down is I'm trying to save some money. I'm going to, if Roth allows me to, from the weather perspective, I'll go to Grayson. Cutter, I like a lot. Cutter Crawford against San Francisco. I'm not as high on Singer, but I might have to end up putting him in there if I can't play Grayson. And Bobby Miller's in play. Musgrove, Wheeler is in play. I think Logan Webb's going to have a good start tonight against the Red Sox. I think traveling out there, and just on their West Coast road trip here, and after, I think didn't he just blow up against them? Was that, who did that? Who did they just? I don't know. I don't remember. But regardless, I think he's going to have a good start tonight. And if you really want like a low owned option, I think Mackenzie Gore, like he just said, is in play. Maybe Jordan Montgomery is like a guy you could play, but I don't know. Those are all the guys I'm like strongly considering at this point.
Dean, you are muted.
Unbelievable. Rookie mistake. Amateur hour over here.
Cool.
Logan Webb got blown up against Washington, if that's what you're referencing there. Kirkwood. Yeah, they got him pretty good. Didn't survive the second inning. And you mentioned Gore against those gutless Mets, certainly worth considering.
So my weather model, like when his BMI, he's one of the BMI pitchers too. And my weather, he gets a huge boost for it being a lot cooler out in San Francisco.
Webb you're talking about? Is Webb a big one? He's kind of he's tall, right? I think he's pretty tall. He's not really husky.
He's husky.
Is he husky? All right.
Husky.
I mean, he's not Vance Lynn husky, like we're doing like various degrees of, but I hear what you're saying. He's not like he's like out. He's not right. He's not like,
but he hits the model. He's not at the top of the model. He just hits the model.
Fair enough. All right. Gonna talk stacks in just a second. Do want to mention, shout out to Stat Hero. Stat Hero, a unique fantasy sports platform. You already know it. You love it. Allows users to compete against the house instead of other players in a contest. The Searing 20 contest for MLB Pick'em that is still going on. Free-to-play contest. Win and start your streak. Keep your streak alive by playing each day. Build your streak and win prizes with consecutive wins, including swag, RG Premium, and the cash prize. $20,000 first prize for the Searing 20 contest. Promo code. We'll get you started with a promo code over there. It's Grinders, GRINDERS. That's Grinders, 50% deposit bonus, up to $250 over there at Stat Hero. Get into the action today. All right, so stacks, which I think is kind of, I think 1 and 2 is like super obvious, right? 2 of the best offenses against 2 of the weaker pitchers, Atlanta and the Dodgers. They're 1-2 in our consensus rankings. I'm the only person that didn't rank Oakland's. I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time getting excited about them. I might have like pieces here and there, but man, if an Oakland stack beats me, so be it. Atlanta, Dodgers, Oakland, St. Louis, Minnesota, which I think takes a hit, somewhat of a hit with the absence of Buxton, but they are really, really cheap. Also, there's some pinch hit risk too. Colorado, Seattle, San Diego, Cleveland. TJ, I'm going to run it down again for you. I'm looking at the consensus fire rankings. Atlanta, Dodgers, Oakland, St. Louis, Minnesota, Colorado, Seattle, San Diego, a little bit of Cleveland love from Kirkwood. Anything too high, anything too low? We want to kick anything off the board? We want to throw anything on there? How do you feel about our stack rankings currently?
I'd kick Colorado off there for me. My top 4 are Atlanta, Dodgers, Seattle, Toronto, Houston. And actually, sorry, St. Louis is supposed to be in there. That is a problem with this last build that I'm going to have to fix. So St. Louis is supposed to be 5 and not Houston, with Houston 6, Minnesota 7. And then I don't hate the idea of targeting a very cheap Milwaukee stack for tournaments. Minnesota, I'm getting to a lot of Singer, but I'm getting to a lot of Minnesota as well. And then I'm also mixing in just a little bit of Phillies, Cubs, and Mets.
Kirkwood, your thoughts?
Yeah, Atlanta. To me, I just always going back to Atlanta if I can make it work. If they're in a good spot, and I think they're in a good spot at home, so I like them. I like the Dodgers. Obviously, I'm probably going to fade Coors tonight, but if I was playing it, I would take the Colorado side. I have love for Cleveland. I think it's a good matchup for them. I know it doesn't seem like anyone's really on them. I know, and when I say Cleveland, so it's mini stacks are fine for Cleveland. Like, just give me the three favorite bats, just Jose Ramirez and whoever else, Naylor, and both Nailers after
the brothers Naylor.
I switched out Bo Naylor that night when he double donged to Yan Gomes because I had a Cleveland Cubs stack, which was good, but I had the extra money and I had Bo in there, and then I had the extra money. I was like, I'll go Yan Gomes. And it just I hate that feeling of leaving too much salary on the table. I got to get over that. You'd think I'd be over it by now.
You should. But I'm with you too. I feel the same way. And my other hiccup is that I just have a hard time rostering somebody ninth at home. As a general thought, he only had 3 at bats. Like, they won the game like 5-1 or something like that. He had 3 at bats because they didn't hit the 9th inning, and that's how it works sometimes. But he hit 2 homers, and that's. I want the guys that are going to hit 4 or 5 times, but, my catchers went over 4 as opposed to hitting 2 home runs and 3 at bats. But, that's the best option. I agree with you. Like, you can play some Jimenez, but there's not a lot of power. I guess Josh Bell, theoretically, is somebody else you can work in there. There's some cheap outfielders there, but nothing you feel great about from the Cleveland side.
I liked mini stacks for both of these teams, but that's another one that because of the weather and just because the slate's so big, I don't want to worry about that. I just hit the X on both of those just because this is another one that if storms fire early in the game, they're probably going to be screwed, not be able to get it in. And so I had mini stacks of both those teams earlier, and then I was thinking maybe I would just switch it to full stack or nothing, but I don't really want a full stack either of them. So I just went with nothing and hoped that won't be the game that breaks the slate.
But I mentioned getting premium. If you get 1 week free of premium, we're going to be doing that drawing in just a minute. You also get Weather Edge. Should actually pull it up. Weather Edge, 28 game sample for Baltimore. The way the weather currently is, we've seen a boost in homers at 12%, a boost in runs at 17%. It's got the fire emoji. I thought we had a fire emoji for the White Sox. Did that go away? I believe it just refreshes like top of the hour. That's gone if there was one. Mets boost there, 59 games. Fire emoji, 15% historically as far as a boost in homers, 9% as far as a boost in runs. Kansas City, 63 game sample, 98 degrees. We got weather. We have wind going straight out to center field at 13 miles per hour. The dew point, I know you're a dew point aficionado, Kirkwood. It's at 69. Do we like a 69 dew point? Is that good for hitting?
Yeah, it's great for hitting.
So
very nice. Very nice.
Yes. There you go. It was on the tee. 24% as far as the boost in homers in 63 previous games. A boost in runs at 21%. St. Louis, 77 previous games, 99 degrees, 8 miles per hour towards center field. 23% boost in homers, 19% boost in runs. This is what we're talking about as far as really, really good hitting environments based upon the weather going on. Steve, when are we doing this drawing? We pulling them in now. We're doing it 6:05, 6:02, 6:04. Whenever you are ready, we can give a week free of RotoGrinders Premium to somebody hanging out there in chat, and I guess as well in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. As we said before, the channels, most of them are opened up. Still like the bat for Cardi is premium. Blender, not a man of the people. Hez is still premium. I think there's like 1 or 2 others, but otherwise, it's anybody can feel free to jump in there. Producer Steve,
we'll do 6:05. I'm just putting some last entries in for some people.
Do we throw you off with all the Mets slander? Is that what was happening? I'm sure that's what's happening. I think you said 6:05 actually. So, but you are rattled. I think you're officially rattled with all the.
Who are we betting on tonight, Steve? Who's the number? You got any bets in?
He wants to know who to fade, is what he's saying. That's what he's asking you.
No, I joined the team. I joined the squad. Steve
Blue Jays.
Oh, boy.
Blue Jays, huh?
Damn it, Steve.
See it, TJ. How much Gaussman you have?
None now.
All right. By the way, chat, next 10 minutes or so is yours. Whatever's on your mind, feel free to throw it out. We do have Spidey Bombs and Layaway. We have to have are we at 100 or 150? Where are we at?
We got our second one with Bregman at 100.
That's
now
right.
we're 16 likes away from 150. This is another one that it's a bit of it's a higher end player, but the odds are just not correct today, and I think they should be much lower. And so let's get it up to 150 because I like this one as well. I bet on Bregman, I bet on Vlad, and I bet on this third guy as well. So let's get us up to 150, and we'll give out that third Spidey bomb.
Where are I've said we've gotten 0 Juggalo bombs. Kirkwood, I know you said you need 1,000 likes. I mean, let's be realistic. Come on, that's egregious. I know you're guaranteeing homers, but like,
well, we've got the cream of the crop. We've got the Spidey bombs tonight. You don't need the jugs tonight. So that's
I think you need people like everything. They want to be able to decipher. They want to be able to make some parlays. They want to have a good time.
I got news for you.
Yeah.
That I have not been very profitable on home run parlays. So take it these with a grain of salt.
Yeah, home run parlays seem like really that's a tough deal. And I've seen it people on Twitter like tweeting out the winners, on the occasion that happens. But it seems like a rough thing to pull off.
It's been more profitable betting home runs for me this year than it has been DFS.
I've hit the nights I have like parlays where I have like 2 or 3 guys. I've hit the first one and my longest odds every time, and I'm like, oh baby, and I'm counting like just waiting, and they just never ended up getting. Then the other guys never get it. I hit like a 12-1 on Xander Bogaerts, and I had him parlayed with like everybody. Once Will Smith is always never has they on Caesars at least he always has a good odds. But I'm going to give Pete Alonso, after being completely gutless yesterday, come back with the platoon against Mackenzie Gore in some little hot and steamy. Nice dew point over there for Pete Alonso. So that'll be my number 1. But, like, which Brave should I choose for number 2? Matt Olson is obvious. Matt Olson
it's too obvious,
right? Yeah,
for what it's worth, Pete Alonso and Matt Olson are both in my home run parlays with those 2 guys I mentioned, and the third one I'm about to give in 3 likes.
All right, well, I'd like to hear that.
Well, I have a couple notes that I think are kind of sort of somewhat interesting before we turn over to Steve. The Dodgers lineup just came out. Betts, Freeman, Smith, JD Martinez, Rosario in the 5 spot, then Muncy. So chopping up the left-right, and they are facing a lefty. Taylor, Hernandez, Rojas. So Kiki's in the lineup as well. But Cincinnati's bullpen is almost exclusively right-handed, just one lefty and Alex Young. So almost definitely we're getting a righty to follow Williamson. We're going to have really high pinch hit risk here for the Dodgers. I think Kiki's probably the one that's most likely to get the hook. Historically, he's the guy that's going to face lefties. And then, on the bench, they have Hayward. On the bench, they have Outman, right? Like, there's good, legit lefties. They bolstered their bench, meaning they're going to be annoying going forward.
I have to assume Rojas will be the most likely one to get pinch hit for.
He's a good defensive player, though, right? And he's versatile. They can kind of move him around depending on game situation. But that's a good point, too. And
it just now that they have Rosario, their whole lineup is versatile, so they can just go Betts to second base and then somebody else for Betts' spot in the outfield. Yeah,
they're going to be pretty annoying going forward. But Hayward, Outman, I think I'm missing somebody else. Peralta. So they have a slew of lefties sitting there, and they're definitely going to face some righties. And Williamson probably doesn't last that long. Now, if the game's 9-0, like whatever, right? If they absolutely smash Williamson, Miller's cruising. Maybe they say, all right, let's just leave guys in. Let Hernandez have himself a fun first game. Whatever. You never really know how these things turn out, but just worth noting. And the other one that I thought was interesting was Minnesota, because Minnesota can get dicey when they face lefties. They are facing a bullpen, I believe, that has just one lefty. So it doesn't mean it's a guarantee these guys don't get pinch hit for. But I'm pulling Kansas City's bullpen up as we speak. But I think there's just one lefty in that pen.
The other thing too is like they let Singer go even when he's getting lit up. So even if he's given up 5 or 6 runs in the 5th or 6th inning, he'll probably still be in there.
Yeah, Austin Cox, who worked on Tuesday and on Wednesday, did not work yesterday, is their one lefty. So otherwise, they're fully right-handed. So the pinch hit stuff is annoying with Minnesota, but I don't think it's going to be – the risk is slightly subdued. All right, all that. Let's turn it over to producer Steve. I apologize, but spin that wheel. I call blue.
Want to know what's refreshing?
Blue.
If Chop was here, he would have made an Austin Cox comment somehow. You know, it's refreshing to not have him here. I was just going to say. He's fishing right now.
Again, you've taken shots at Derek Carty. You've taken shots at Dave Potts. You've taken shots at myself. You've taken shots at
me and TJ versus the world. You know?
Why are you glomming TJ? TJ doesn't want to be part of this nonsense. He's gonna take one for you. You know, you're just dragging him down there with you.
I wasn't listening, but I'm with him. I got him. Anything he needs.
Okay. And producer Steve, spin that wheel. I'm calling blue. What color did I call?
I think you said blue.
Let's go blue. And I can't wait for the music. I always like the spin. Right. It's always enjoyable.
I'm gonna have a seizure looking at this.
I feel like I've been hypnotized.
Where do we get the soundtrack
umbrella? Blue. Oh no!
Oh, it's still going. The Grinch.
The Grinch. Shout out to the Grinch. There you go.
We'll shoot you a message in Discord. Congratulations.
All right, there you go. Congratulations to the Grinch. Get your questions loaded up there in chat. We're here for 5 more minutes until we turn it over to crunch time. You got Squirrel Patrol.
That's one of my burners. That's one of my burners, by the way.
The Grinch?
Yeah.
As a child, I rooted for the Grinch. Is that weird? Does that say anything about me? I thought he was misunderstood in the first half of the movie, even. But
I think you're supposed to root for the Grinch. The Grinch is the protagonist in that movie alongside Cindy Lou Who.
Wait, the Grinch was portrayed poorly, though, in the start, if I recall correctly. It's been a while.
But that's because we learned that the whole city is forgot the meaning of Christmas.
Spoilers, TJ. Come on, it's been people. There's no statute of limitations. All right. Do we get to 150? We had to get to 150, right, TJ?
We did. We're well over 150. Let's see if we can maybe get it up to 200 so we can give away a fourth Spidey Bomb here. But the third one going over to the Padres game, and you can find Juan Soto to hit a home run for plus 460 over on FanDuel. I like when Juan Soto's facing pitchers that don't walk very many guys. Because that means he's probably seeing pitches in the strike zone, and if he does, he's usually hitting them hard. So Juan Soto is Spidey Bomb number 3. Let's get us up to 200 so we can get one more.
I'm going to throw out one of the old Dean's dongs, Matt Wallner. If you want a cheapie, you want some cheap power, Matt Wallner is 2.1K on DK facing Brady Singer in that scorching heat in Kansas City. Do like his power. Who did he get this weekend? He got a couple of days ago. He got somebody pretty good. One of the better pitchers on the slate. I forgot. But that guy, he's got some legit power when he gets a hold of it. By the way, I do see in chat several people are asking Ron's like, how do I enter the giveaway? Boss Bro. Yeah, y'all just missed it. No worries. We do this on occasion, typically once a week or so. You jump into this Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. That one happened to be running in the live stream chat channel. If you have any questions for Crunch Time, y'all know this, but some people don't, maybe. Get your questions loaded up for Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, so we can ask him to Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire winner, Squirrel Patrol, 80-time live finalist, give or take. They'll be joining the show momentarily. Let's see.
I can throw a shot at Squirrel. I could throw a shot at Squirrel, too.
Yeah, why not? You've got everybody else. Is he going to catch some shrapnel? You took down the entire show coming up. You took down Roth as well. Let it all burn.
I won't. I'm kidding. I forgot to add a Juggalo bomb. This is a chalk Juggalo bomb on the slate that's going to annoy everyone who fades him because he's going to be chalky. Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, it's tough to avoid him against Tommy Henry, who gives basically like a 200 ISO against right-handed batters, but he's low strikeout rate, 14%. Gaudy numbers against with the platoon for Teoscar, 379 WOBA, 279 ISO against left-hand pitching this season. Striking out is his Achilles heel, always. A massive strikeout rate, but so much better chance of him putting some balls in play against Tommy Henry. So he's so cheap too on Yahoo and on DraftKings tonight.
Well, the other one is Suarez. Eugenio Suarez is 3-2 on DK as well. which I think is square in play for a solid roster spot. And like you mentioned, good ballpark. There's no heat there. It's outside. I assume the roof is closed. But like you said, Chop he has that model.
It does seep through.
I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But I didn't watch a lot of Bill Nye as a child, so maybe I'm misspoken here. But just too cheap there against Tommy Henry. We're assuming that roof. It's just got to be closed there. What's our official word on Coors here, Kirkwood? It sounds like you're not really playing it. You're making one lineup. You talk about Atlanta.
You know what? I feel like it's going to smash. I'm not playing it. So I go down with Coors way too often than I should. And and in the first game especially. And so tonight I'm like, it's Oakland, and I feel like so tonight's going to be the night it absolutely smashes when I'm not. I'm just, just give me the Braves every slate. That's all I care about.
Is there any Brave that you're saying this is clearly my favorite? The fringe.
No, I love the reach around. Who doesn't love a nice reach around? And you got the Harris right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference as far as Ozuna versus Rosario?
I don't. I don't
Platoon?
Really. Yeah, but they're both home run or bust type of guys. I think there's a little bit of pinch hit risk with Eddie Rosario. Is that true? Is that even true?
What's his name? Pilar, I think, would sometimes with a pinch hit for him. That's happened before. But they also have that speedster there. I can't remember the guy's name. Be like a pinch runner late in the game. If you care about such things.
Pache.
No. Christian Pache? No, there's somebody else there now. Is that you're thinking of? He's no longer in Atlanta. Unless he's back in Atlanta. Is he back on Atlanta?
I don't know. All I know is he's fast, and he was in Atlanta at one point.
He was on Oakland. He might have been on Philadelphia or something. He's been on several teams. He was a huge prospect at one point. TJ, what's your official Coors stand? Because it's 11 total. I feel like it might be a collection of runs, but maybe not a lot of homers. But Sears is a huge fly ball guy, and it's a massive negative ballpark shift. Obviously, going from Oakland to Colorado, so he probably gives up a homer. Crone is officially back. Bryant is on the IL, so we're not going to see him, I guess, for a bit. I don't mind homer hunting in the Colorado side, but I don't think I'm stacking. What's your stance here with the Rockies A's game?
I love Randall Grichuk at 4,100 on DraftKings.
Former Blue Jay.
Former Blue Jay. CJ Crone, another guy who's just too cheap for this situation. So I'm kind of with you. I like a mini stack of them a lot more than I like a full stack.
All right. I wanted to see if there's any questions hanging out there in chat. And typically this is the time. I didn't really prompt them for it. Let's see. Berger's going to hit 2 homers again. Yeah, Jake Berger is fine. You can always play yourself some Jake Berger. How about yesterday with Kisner, 2 homers off the bench in the three-game slate? Was he on one lineup by accident? Nobody played Kisner, right? 0% of lineups? I didn't check the look. But
Zach Nato just got scratched.
Okay. Extreme umpires, Derek's asking about. Yeah, there's a couple hitters umpires. This is the point where I also always note it's the start of a bunch of series, so just be aware. Sometimes these do change. They're not officially official, right? But we have a couple
easy hitters in Houston.
Yes, easy. Yes, the umpire will be throwing baseballs, and he's easy to hit in Houston tonight. As well as the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves have an extreme hitters umpire. We didn't talk about Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's got a pretty good matchup. I think they're worth just acknowledging their existence. But it's a huge slate, 28 teams playing baseball. We have the Crunch Time crew coming in. We have Squirrel Patrol, Kevin Roth, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire winner. I hope you guys weren't watching because, Kirkwood was slandering all of us. He dragged every one of our names to the mud. Except for whatever reason, he won't say a bad word about TJ. I don't know why. I don't know what
or Dave or Squirrel.
You just me?
I went down with the ship last night. I need another winner to unbury myself from the parlay last night, Roth.
It's your fault that didn't score runs.
That was a tough scene,
just
man.
The fact. No, what I was saying is that you need my gutless ranking, so you would have known the Mets are gutless. That was the real problem. The weather was great. The team is gutless. That's what the problem is.
Well, Kirkwood also insinuated that Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, might have been listening to the morning grind last night and repackaged one of TJ's takes as his own in the musings, which I don't think. I would never insinuate.
What was the take?
I think that was you who insinuated it in the first place.
Yeah,
Dean.
No,
this is funny how he throws that on me.
And I watched the
You said, TJ, are you saying Dave stole it? I said no, but him saying the same thing.
Kirkwood said yes.
No.
I was just trying to stir it up, but obviously I don't think that. I mean, everybody steals Cheese's work every day. That's how this whole thing works.
Dave, the take was Brady
what
Singer.
is it that? What's the take? What?
Brady Singer. You being on Brady Singer today, and I'm sure it'll be a conversation.
So you're telling me I'm not the only one? TJ is? I
have 25% Brady Singer today.
Congrats on the win. I really thought it was just me. Like, that is fantastic. Yeah.
But he only had 5% until he read your article. Is what Kirkwood is insinuating, I believe. Maybe.
Well,
I'm just stirring the pot.
I get like that too. If Dave is on something that I'm on, I like that. I get a little overconfident sometimes.
Also, Squirrel's pretty good. Squirrel, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday where you like won every single slate that was out there? The day game, the night game. I don't know if there was anything in the middle, but that must have been a fun day for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. If we could just do that every day, that'd be great. But yeah, I won the Fanduel early slate.
Yeah, it's just a regular day.
The 10,000 person contest, and then I won the squeeze again for the main slate. So that was awesome. And then I won like a smaller GPP on DraftKings for the early slate as well.
Sure, why not? I mean, if you did that every day, like the ecosystem would be over though.
Would just
like everybody would be just broke.
Yeah. I think people enjoy it when I win. It's entertaining.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're rooting for you, but like every day, then where's the pool of people? All right, well, congratulations. Do it again like in a month or something. Take some time.
I just want to be on record that the only way Dave is winning with Singer tonight is if he has him paired with Cutter. I just want to.
I do. I'm just trying to decide if I need to. I haven't paired with Grayson Rodriguez as well, so I'm waiting for Kevin to tell me if I can do that.
That's what I'm waiting for too.
Well, let's get out of here then. Myself and TJ, Kirkwood, you got anything else before we yield to Roth? People want to know what's going on weather-wise.
No, let's give it away. Let these guys tell us what we're supposed to be doing.
That was TJ. That was Kirkwood. I was Dean, the Fanduel sponsor, Crunch Time, with Kevin Roth. By the way, Fanduel, play that single entry series. Not sure if it is sold out just yet, but do check that in the Fanduel lobby. That is the first contest you want to enter over there. At least I would. The single entry contest, a lot of fun. You get the added value of it being the RotoGrinders sponsored single entry series. Roth, people want weather. Take it away.
Good stuff. As always, welcome to it, ladies and gents. It is indeed Crunch Time. As Dean mentioned, it is sponsored by FanDuel. Two of the best minds in the biz hanging out with us. We got Dave Potts. Cheese is good. What up, Cheese?
Not too much. Like, it's such a big, crazy slate. I'm kind of like all over the place. Like, I wish I had like 3 more hours to figure all this out, but it's good.
Well, I like big slates because that means if there's a game that I think is risky, you just don't have to play it, right? There's like 14 other games.
There's at least a dozen pivots, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So that makes me feel pretty good. Weather update coming in like literally 45 seconds. Hang tight. We got to say what's up to John Breslin, Squirrel, as well. What up, man?
Hey, how's it going? What's the weather looking like just west of DC?
You're in DC. You're
no
getting hammered.
there. It's thunder. So
yeah, well, we lost you last show to a severe thunderstorm when your power went out. There's a decent shot that could happen again here, but not
Sounds
immediately.
Like
yeah, so you got a little bit. That does help launch me into something near to DC, and that's Baltimore. Cheese, you were talking about some pitcher.
Like he's not an important pitcher. He's a cheap pitcher that's viable, but like Garrett Cole's in that game as well, even though he's actually not all that popular. But yeah, both pitchers are going to be in some lineups here and there.
We're talking in Baltimore?
That is correct.
Don't do it.
That is Garrett Cole and Grayson Murray. Did you say don't do it?
Yeah, I don't think you should do it. Yeah. If they announce a late start, okay. But there's a greater than 50, like I think they might announce a late start here shortly. I think there is a good chance of a delay in the first 90 minutes of that game. And maybe they announce a late start. That, like, if I were in charge, I would probably do that right now, because if they don't do that, they're probably losing your starting pitching.
Would late start solve that issue? I mean, make pitchers more playable?
Yes, assuming they play, and that's not a guarantee either.
Okay.
So,
So you're telling me
Um,
to play Cutter Crawford. And thank you.
yeah, I just think if you like, they just issued a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that is like a mile west of the ballpark. The storm itself is still 20, 30 miles away, but it looks very likely that it's going to head over the ballpark within the next 90 minutes, which means if they start that game on time, they are probably screwed, at least the pitchers. And if they don't start it on time, they're probably going to have to be pretty damn patient in order to play. I still think they probably will play, especially on a Friday night. I feel like teams are more likely on like a Friday night or a Saturday night. They've got fireworks shows or whatever the hell they're doing to just like sit around and wait, make an event of it. But I wouldn't play pitchers unless they announce a late start. And even then, I think players there have at least some risk. The other game we got to talk about is, what's my other risky game that I've been watching all day? Hang on. I swear I stay up to date on this. Chicago. Okay. As of 5 minutes ago, and I'll double check it right now, everything is still fully dry in Chicago. There is not a single storm around. But forecast models are in good agreement that storms are going to start popping up. And later tonight, I'm talking 9, 10 o'clock Chicago time, is very likely game-ending rain that moves in. So if these storms pop up out ahead of that main line and cause a delay, this game is not going 9 innings. If those storms miss, you've got a shot that this game can go fully and uninterrupted, and I'll look like an idiot for even bringing this up. But this is one of those games that, regardless of how it shakes out, has legitimate risk to it as well. Is it just bats that we want? And I feel like someone told me there were cheap bats we want there too.
Yeah, it's just bats, but there's 2 really good expensive bats, and then there's some cheap bats. So
yeah,
you can live without it, but it's like, especially if you've got, like I do, like Bo Naylor at catcher, like there's not a lot of ways to pivot off of something like that. So
yeah,
it's easy to pivot off of Jose Ramirez or Luis Robert, or
pick another good hitter.
But
sure,
yeah.
Okay. Here's what I'll say in that game. If you want to, stick with stacks or do something in tournaments, and this is a certain percentage of your ownership, that's cool. All right. You can roll the dice on that. If this is your only play and you've got, 100% of guys in this game, you get under one of these pop-up storms and we get a delay, you're probably not getting 9 innings. You might get 3. And that is going to be a problem. So yes, there is a very viable way that game works out fine if these early storms miss. But there is also a equally viable path to this game not at all going 9 innings. So that game is also not safe, in my opinion.
It's good times.
It's good. It's fun. I love this gig. It's so fun. It's so stressful. Squirrel, do you have anything you want to add or any questions you want to ask on that?
No, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant on any weather risk, just because there's so many games. Like there's like 28 teams in play if we get everybody. So in order for a stack to hit in a game that like has weather concerns, the game has to play, and then the stack also has to hit. So it just adds another wrinkle. Like yesterday, a 3-game slate, I'm going to take much more chances with the weather, whereas like tonight, I'm just going to be more likely to not play any weather risk.
I love that. And I also think that as a general rule in these risky games, either play the hell out of it, stack it up, or just stay away from it, right? Because you want that lower ownership, or at least perceived lower ownership, that hopefully people are kind of staying away. So great. All right, attack it in a few stacks. But if you just have 1 or 2 guys in every one of your lineups and then the game gets washed, then you're done. You're fully toast, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good.
So that's my thought. Dean pointed out something really smart in the chat, and we'll get to the pitching content, hitters, home runs, all that in a second. Dean says, it sounds like it would be smart to start the game on time from Baltimore's perspective, because doing so could potentially and almost likely knock out Cole. And if I were in charge, I would late start it. And no, I take that back. If I were Baltimore and I were in charge, I would absolutely start this game on time and try to make that happen. So that is certainly worth noting. All right, so that's where I'm at. Eric Johnson says just X out the weather games. And yeah, if you don't want any risk, just X out the weather games. Someone also asking, is Pitt versus Philly okay? This morning, it really looked like Pittsburgh was going to be a problem. And then by the afternoon, forecast models were kind of like, never mind. I think that game is likely going to be fine. So I think there's a handful of other games with a chance for a delay that probably won't happen. So that's all I want to talk about weather-wise. A ton of great hitting. My favorite spots would be Kansas City and St. Louis. Stupid hot, winds blowing out, stupid humid, just like everything you want in hitting weather in those two spots. And with that, we can turn it over and dive into the content side of things. And that generally begins with some pitcher talk. Cheese, what do you like?
Okay, so on all sides of this slate, it's going to be one of those. There's so many good players that I'm not going to mention everybody, and I'm not going to play everybody. Like, if I don't mention a guy that you really like, it's not because he's not a good player. Like, you don't have to say, hey, but why no love for this guy? Like, yeah, play him too. Like, okay. So when I start narrowing it down, the one guy who's probably chalky-ish is Kevin Gausman. He's kind of the clear SP1. And on DraftKings, there are ways to make him fit. And then on FanDuel, Gausman, Scherzer, and Wheeler and Cole are all more or less the same salary. And I do think Gausman takes the bulk of the ownership amongst those guys, but he's definitely the best one and the one that I'm playing the most. The drop, let me do FanDuel first. So you got those four expensive guys. I have Gausman 1, and then Wheeler and Scherzer more or less tied. I have a slight lean to Wheeler and then Scherzer. I'm not playing any Cole, and that's even before the weather risk.
Okay.
Then we get a $1,000 drop to Joe Musgrove, who is fine. Like, he's a good pitcher. I don't love the matchup. And to me, if I'm saving salary, I want to save more than that. So I prefer to go down like another 1,000 to Bobby Miller, or even another 1,000 from that to, I did have some Grayson Rodriguez. That's the Baltimore game. Cutter Crawford and Brady Singer. Those guys are the ones you can play to kind of fit whatever you want. I prefer Singer out of that, but like, he's kind of also got the most risk because he's in that weather game. So I don't have any issue with you going with Cutter Crawford instead of Singer.
And you're talking FanDuel, where you only get one pitcher. You're okay getting away from those top price guys.
Because they're all 11K is a lot for a pitcher on a slate with, when you want to stack like Braves, Dodgers type teams. Like, you can't really do it with Gausman.
Okay.
So yes, I'm okay with cheap guys.
Okay. And then DK, you need two of them. Is it the same pool, or is there somebody else?
It's the same, but Scherzer and Wheeler are quite a bit cheaper. So I think basically Gausman, Scherzer, and Wheeler, and Musgrove's right there with them, but I've personally got him a step below. So Gausman, Scherzer, Wheeler, that's like my main core. If I have salary, that's who I'm playing. And then most of my lineups either have two of those guys or one of those guys with Bobby Miller or down to Singer, Cutter Crawford, and Grayson Rodriguez, who I am now taking out of some lineups because of that weather.
Okay. And I just, I rarely try to talk you off of any weather choices that you make. And I think you're making the right choice. Like, I really feel fairly strongly you should not play a starting pitcher in Baltimore unless we get a late start. And I'm not saying it's 100%. This is a guaranteed delay or guaranteed going to knock out starters, but I think it's very likely they get an early delay in Baltimore. So I think it's a smart choice to not.
Perfect. Yeah. And it's great. We do have the pivots. Like, you can go to Cutter Crawford, you can go to Brady Singer, or you even have time to just rearrange a lineup and do something totally different with it.
Yeah. Very good. Matt says Singer is in the weather game. Is Singer in the Baltimore weather?
No, I'm sorry. He's in the game that it has good hitting weather.
Gotcha.
Meaning he's at risk to give up a bunch of home runs because of the hot, humid weather, not a rain out.
Okay. Very good. I only know like home. I don't know who the hell these guys play for. I just know.
Yeah, that's the Kansas City game.
Gotcha. Okay. I see. Okay. Squirrel, I want your thoughts on pitcher. First, I want to say we got hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for us. We're trying to keep this show free for you. Sponsored by FanDuel. The more likes and eyeballs we get, the longer we can hopefully keep it free. So hit the thumbs up. We want to keep the show free for as long as humanly possible. Also, shout out to our sponsor, FanDuel. Make sure you're signing up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of their awesome bonus offer. New customers bet $5, get 100 clams, smackaroos, bucks in bonus bets. Terms and conditions do apply. And then the FanDuel Single Entry Series, Dean mentioned, sponsored by RotoGrinders, ongoing as well. Squirrel, do you have that same pitcher pool? Because it seemed like Cheese had guys and like every tier, all good.
Yeah, for the most part, it's very similar. I was actually just swapping out my Grayson Rodriguez. I had like 5 Grayson Rodriguez teams on FanDuel. Just game Cutter Crawford. But yeah, so it's essentially the same pool. I think Kevin Gaussman's the clear number 1, but he's going to be the highest owned. My basic strategy is going to be like just under the field on Kevin Gaussman. I can't really give you a reason why, other than it's baseball. There's 28 pitchers. Crazy stuff happens. And yes, I'm going to have a good amount of Gaussman, but I'm going to be like slightly under the field. That's going to give me a little bit more Zach Wheeler, a little bit more Max Scherzer, a good amount of like Joe Musgrove on both FanDuel and DraftKings. The guys that like are underowned that I'm trying to be a little bit over the field on, Mackenzie Gore. I think he's a young pitcher. He's improving. He's been doing fairly well. And when you see that in a young player, right, it could be like real substantial improvement that the field hasn't caught up to yet, or that isn't like being accounted for in projections yet. I did like Grayson Rodriguez, but probably not playable now with the weather. It sounds like I'm going to be a little bit over the field on Bobby Miller. I like him, and then Logan Webb as well. Both Miller and Webb are kind of facing offenses that are generally in pretty good hitters' parks, but they're now on the road. And I think that's a bigger downgrade than the field realizes.
Okay, very good. I guess we can talk some stacks then. And I assume there's plenty of that to go around as well, right, Squirrel?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a good amount of offense. We got a Coors Field game, but we have offenses that aren't necessarily that good in the Coors Field game. So that makes for an interesting wrinkle. I actually think they'll be a little bit under-owned. It's Oakland and Colorado.
Has Coors, I don't mean to interject, has Coors just been underperforming as a whole? I feel like every time it's on the slate, I haven't seen, and maybe I don't pay attention to baseball, I haven't seen like the 16-10 games that I'm used to.
Colorado is not a good hitting team.
That's
so
a
I
problem.
think that maybe is part of the impact. When you have good offenses in Coors, it's still popular, and
Okay.
I feel like it's still been going off. But it's just like the Rockies aren't there to give you that. Oh my God, this game, was 18-15 or whatever kind of impact.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry. Continue. Stacks.
I was just looking
Anything
up the
else?
number to be sure. So like the Rockies are 26th in offense on the road and 11th at home. Like it's the same thing. It's just that the Rockies are so bad that they're not the number 1 offense at home like most years. You have to be at least respectable.
Okay.
But it's still Coors.
Gotcha. All right. Squirrel, any other teams you want to bring up?
So I think there's not like a clearly defined chalk I think that I can see. There's just a handful of good teams at the top, like Colorado, is in Coors Field. So they're going to have like a higher implied run total. Dodgers, Atlanta, I think Minnesota is going to be pretty popular because they're up there in terms of all the projections, and they're also really, really cheap. So you can fit them in whether you're doing like a 5-man stack or a 3-man stack, and it gives you enough to spend up for at pitcher. Some White Sox I liked, but they're in that Chicago game. How are we feeling about offenses in Chicago?
I think if you're wanting to stack it up, then okay, and just kind of hope that we don't get an early delay and that the late storms come late like they should. I don't think it's stupid to have some exposure to it, but I do think it's stupid to have all of the exposure to it.
Let me pause and ask you another thing. So if they get an early pop-up and it delays, they'll still probably come back and play a little more before it gets washed out completely, right?
Maybe. Like I can't promise that. Yeah.
I'm asking for lock button guarantees.
Maybe.
That's a possibility.
That is a possibility. More so, I think if they get hit by an early pop-up, it's trouble. Whether they get another inning or 2 out of it or not, you're not.
It's kind of like the situation. If I'm playing a $2,500 bat, basically like Bo Naylor or Josh Bell, and they get 5 innings, I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if I play Jose Ramirez and he gets 5 innings, I'm a little more upset about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You got a shot at 5 innings. You got a legitimate shot at 9 innings, but I can't promise it at all. It's just legitimately unpredictable where these pop-ups are going to go, and thus if the later storms are going to screw them out over or not. Okay, Squirrel, any other teams you want to mention or no?
Just two teams that I think are a little under the radar that I like are Milwaukee and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, they're both on the road, so you're going to get those guaranteed ninth inning at bats. Tampa Bay plays in a really good pitcher's park, but bad for the offense. But they have a good offense then when they hit the road. So two teams I like.
Okay, great. Cheese, let's talk about some of your favorite stacks. And like Squirrel mentioned, there's a lot of them to like.
Yeah, my main takeaway on this slate offensively is there is no chalk anywhere. Period. Coors Field is not chalk. There's no chalk. Like we may not see a single bat over 15% owned on DraftKings in like the big tournaments. Like I don't personally think it's even a moderate factor in any way in the decision making process.
And the pitchers are
disagree,
so
but
spread out as well, right? That like coming up with a chalky lineup as a whole would be almost difficult, right?
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, if you ask, like, we could have a DFS contest where the goal is to make the chalkiest lineup. We'd all tie with a pretty unchalky lineup.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, I'm not factoring ownership in one iota to anything because I do not believe there is chalk.
Okay.
My favorite teams by far are the Braves and the Dodgers. The thing that stops them from being chalk is the salaries. So I just want to mention, I mentioned this briefly in the musings. In general, moving forward, the Dodgers just traded for all these new righties, a couple, and we don't know yet how they're going to handle pinch hitting, but I would say Ahmed Rosario, Chris Taylor, and Kiki Hernandez are at least moderate pinch hit risks until we see how it is that they're going to play with this new lineup. So I'm a little sketchier on them in stacks, but Braves, Dodgers, followed by kind of everything, but Houston and Tampa, both sides of that game, I like a bit. I like Seattle and San Diego a lot as well.
Okay, let's go around the horn. We'll go position by position, and we'll start at the catcher spot. And Cheese, you can lead us off. We'll go around. We're going to do some home run picks, so make sure you're hanging out with us. And then we're going to take your questions as well, starting in the RotoGrinders Discord, so make sure you're hanging out there. But also, I'm jumping into the YouTube chat. Cheese, who are your favorite catchers on the board?
By a huge margin, it's Will Smith, but that requires having a salary, which you may not have. I actually kind of like him better on FanDuel, where he's a little more reasonably priced. I think the two Coors guys that would be like your cash game grouping, like play one of Langelier or Diaz. I would prefer just going cheaper, playing the Oakland guy. I'm still playing Bo Naylor. He's in that Chicago game. He's just cheap. And there aren't a lot of good cheap catchers. Like it dries up in a hurry. Like you could go all the way down to like Ryan Jeffers or something. Although I prefer Tom Murphy if you need a full punt.
Gotcha. All right, Squirrel. You got a catcher for me, Squirrel?
Oh yeah. So I think like JT Realmuto, like Will Smith, Sean Murphy is incredibly expensive on DraftKings, but he's going to see like no ownership as a result. And I mean, Atlanta's got the offense that you want to have, if it's going to be underowned. So that's a thought. Tommy Murphy in Seattle, super cheap, 2,400 on DraftKings. And like every time I look, he's got like a bunch of home runs. He's got like 4 home runs since June 30th. So he's got power. So that's the guy if you're looking for a value option.
Okay, first base.
So my highest projected guy again is Matt Olson with Atlanta. Like I think he's still leading the league in home runs, maybe him or Ohtani. Ton of power. I think leading the NL in home runs. So ton of power. I like Luke Raley, first base eligible on DraftKings. I like the Tampa Bay stack. Yeah, and on FanDuel as well. Like the Tampa Bay stack. See Shohei Ohtani, first base eligible on DraftKings. Freddie Freeman, you can always play. In terms of value options, Luke Raley, like I mentioned, maybe Mark Canha with the Mets.
Okay, Cheese.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say on that, we're just going to say that Matt Olson is leading the league in homers because even though Ohtani has more, like it's not even fair to count Ohtani in the rankings. Otherwise,
you got to cut him off. He's like a peak Barry Bonds. You don't include him.
So,
it's like
Olson leads the league in homers if we're being fair and not
that makes sense.
Ohtani. Yes, indeedy. play Matt Olson. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. He's expensive, and that's why I'm playing Brady Singer. If you want to do something else, which you probably do, because you're probably not playing Brady Singer, CJ Crone. If there's a popular Coors Field bat, a chalky Coors Field bat, it's probably CJ Crone. I'm fine with him. I like Montero for more savings there. If you need a really cheap DK bat, you can play Kirilov. I will mention this is one of those games, the Minnesota against Singer. I do have lineups with Singer and a Minnesota bat or two. I have nothing else to say. I want Matt Olson.
That's fair. All right, second base then.
You're going to hear me name a bunch of expensive bats, and it seems like they shouldn't all fit. I've made so many lineups today, and I'm so confused how I can fit all this stuff, and yet like I have money left over playing Olson and
Cutter and some other.
Yeah, Cutter and
crappy.
Singer, I guess.
Yeah,
but even some of them I have Scherzer or Wheeler. I don't know. I guess I have punts here and there, but Mookie Betts and Ozzie Albies, I love them, and I don't know why I can afford them. Maybe I have extra salary, but I can afford them. I'm playing them. I like Nolan Gorman a lot with the pitching change for Chicago. As far as some of these punts that make everything work on DK, I'm playing Dylan Moore, second or outfield, playing Michael Massey on both sites as a cheap play. I like Jake Cronenworth on Fanduel.
Okay, Squirrel.
Yeah, so Mookie Betts, definitely leading off for the Dodgers. Lineup came out maybe like a little bit later, so it might get a little bit of an ownership decrease there with the Dodgers. Zach Geloff is hitting second for Oakland in Colorado. He's a guy I hadn't heard of until like pretty recently. But he's sitting second in Colorado. Ozzie Albies is actually like probably the Brave that is underowned the most, I feel like, because he hits second for the Braves, but he's expensive and everybody tries to get Acuna and Olson. And then let's see, Jorge Polanco and Andres Jimenez for the.
Great. How about third base?
Third base. So Geloff is third base eligible on FanDuel. Jose Ramirez, Ellie De La Cruz is third base eligible on FanDuel now, which I hadn't even realized until just now. Then Max Muncy as well on FanDuel.
Okay, we just got the official news, which is a little heartbreaking because I just wanted to be right about the early delay and just be done with it. But Baltimore has now officially moved into a late start, which I don't know. I was like, I was going to be very right and feel really good about it. And now I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Right. It's a late start. Are they? Let me. Cheese, I want to hear your thoughts at third. Squirrel, I didn't mean to cut in. Was there anything else you wanted to add at third?
No, that was it.
No. All right. Cheese, you go through third. I'm going to look at the latest forecast models in Baltimore and see if there's any clarity. My initial thought was, I don't know what's going to happen behind this late start, but let me look at radar again and look at the latest models and see if I can come up with a better idea. So, because maybe this opens the door for pitchers, right? Maybe this gives us the ability to play those guys, whoever the hell they were, Cole and the other guy.
Cole and Rodriguez, yeah.
Rodriguez.
Right.
So, Cheese, talk to me about third. I'm just going to look at a couple things real fast.
All right. Yeah, so Jose Ramirez is in the shaky weather game in Chicago, so I'm a little less thrilled about him with what seems like not super likely to go a full game. And he's expensive, so I think third is a place I'm not going to try to spend all of my salary. In stacks, I definitely want Riley and Muncy, but those guys, I'm not forcing them in on their own. We also have Jake Berger, though, in that game. I don't know. I guess I don't love him as much either. You can do Nolan Gorman here as well on FanDuel. My favorite cheap guy for sure on DK is Suarez. But on FanDuel, like, he's not any cheaper than Matt Chapman, so I would play Chapman ahead of him. Montero for the Rockies is cheap-ish. Patrick Wisdom, more so on FanDuel. Arenado Machado, like these kind of expensive-ish guys that will get totally overlooked, I like a good bit. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Take me to shortstop.
All right. Fanduel, you got Mookie Betts here as well. This position is the one that's kind of the most bunched up. Like nothing is super duper fantastic outside of Betts, but it's all kind of okay and kind of affordable. It's like it's Bobby Witt, Carlos Correa, Bo Bichette, Willie Adames, Trey Turner, and then maybe Tovar if you want to play like in a Rocky stack. Out of that group, I like Witt and Bichette the best. I think you can play any of those guys. And they're all more or less in the same salary range. Quite affordable on FanDuel. Like I don't think you need to really punt on FanDuel. On DK, I am playing a little bit of those cheap Dodgers, Kiki Hernandez, even though I think there is a pinch hit risk at 2,800. I'm not going to worry about it. I think it's more likely that Rosario stays in the lineup, but he's a little bit of a risk and not as cheap either. So ideally get up to the Witt, Adames, Bichette type range if you can.
Okay. Quick update there in Baltimore. I mentioned we've got the late start official. I felt extremely confident you shouldn't play pitchers before the announcement, but I don't have that same kind of confidence saying that now you can, or that now it's safe. My best bet is that they wait out this main line, and that maybe takes an hour plus for it to clear, and then pull tarp and warm up. So we're talking a start time maybe 2 hours late, and then they play, and that the rain upstream fades away, and then they play, and they probably play without a delay. That's what I think is the most likely outcome, but I don't have that kind of certainty that I felt about you not playing pitchers before the late start. A postponed game is not out of the question here, nor is a secondary delay, but I think that's pretty damn unlikely. So if you want to sprinkle back in some Cole and some Rodriguez in tournaments, I think that's totally viable now, whereas it was not at all viable prior to this late start. But I still don't think it's a single entry play. I don't think it's a cash play. Like, don't go overboard with it. But if these guys could be coming in at really low ownership now, and Cheese, you already liked them. So what are your thoughts there, Cheese?
I am super duper torn. I don't think Cole is necessary at all because I think Gausman's the better play straight up anyway.
Okay.
But like I do like Grayson Rodriguez better than Cutter Crawford. So I think I'm gonna put a little bit of Grayson back, but kind of split it between where I had it originally.
I love that. I think that's like if I was playing 20 or 150 or whatever, that's exactly what I would do. Is I would just get like a little bit in, but not however much you wanted originally, and understand that there's some risk there. Okay, I think we are on to Squirrel's thoughts at short, right?
I think so. Okay, so I think like Francisco Lindor is my highest projected guy. Ellie De La Cruz, but he's super expensive. I like Wander Franco with Tampa Bay. I think they're going to go way under owned. And then CJ Abrams, like I've been kind of tooting the CJ Abrams horn, for a while now. I think he's really like breaking out as a potential star for Washington. Like he's stealing a ton of bases. Like it seems like every game he's getting on, like since he moved to the leadoff spot. And those steals are adding up. So I think he's maybe up to 12 steals so far this month. So
nice. Okay, how about the outfield?
So outfield, like it kind of same guys that we always see. Like, and they're really expensive. But like Ronald Acuna, Mookie Betts, Fernando Tatis are all considerations. I like Randy Arozarena. He's in Tampa Bay sitting cleanup. Corbin Carroll can always get on and steal some bases. If you're looking for cheaper options, Willie Castro with Minnesota, Matt Wallner also with Minnesota, and Max Kepler is actually really cheap on DraftKings. He's 2,800.
Okay, excellent. Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield? By the way, we still have, I don't know, what is that? 13 minutes until lock.
Yeah, so like I'm a little more focused on the expensive guys at those infield positions I mentioned. I mean, by all means, like the expensive outfielders are fantastic, but we have more good options kind of spread around. So like I'm not forcing in like Acuna and Ohtani and Tatis and all these guys. Like I have them where I can fit them. But on FanDuel, most of the guys that I like are sort of low 3Ks. And I think if something like it's not popular enough to matter. Like I say, like Brent Rooker will be popular for this slate, but that still probably means like 12%. And I don't care about that number. I like Teoscar Hernandez a lot. I like Seiya Suzuki a lot. The Twins guys are fine. Tyler O'Neill at 2,500 is kind of a standout. So all those guys make things work on FanDuel where you really don't have to spend the $4,500 type plays. DK, there's a lot of lineups you can fit like one of the 6K range plays. I'm playing Betts at second mostly if I'm playing him. I like Juan Soto the next best, but I like Corbin Carroll and Tatis quite a bit too. The low 3K range here is way too cheap with guys like Teoscar and Seiya Suzuki. A couple of the Twins like Kepler and Gallo are under 3K. Jordan Walker, even Brenton Doyle at the bottom of the lineup. Laureano, there's so much good stuff there. Most of my lineups have two cheap-ish outfielders on DK.
Okay, great. Let's see. Jared just said, hey, I'm in Atlanta. I got a severe thunderstorm warning on my phone. So let me make sure that there are going to be a few storms around Atlanta. And it looks like that is pretty likely to hit Truist Park, actually. It's going to clear. What time is that game? Is that starting like 15 minutes or something? The Atlanta game?
Yes, it's at 20 after.
All right. So I think there's a decent chance we're going to get a late start in Atlanta for this storm system, but it's one of those summertime storms where once the sun starts setting, it totally fades away. So I don't think you change anything, even if they announce a late start, and they probably will. Just stick with bats in Atlanta. The only concern would be it freaking pours and floods and ruins the field, but that's really a pretty unlikely issue. So I think you just stick with whatever you're doing in Atlanta, even if they announce a late start. Let's do some home run picks. Cheese, will you start us off with that while I try to tweet out some more some content here?
Yeah, there's a lot of home runs going to be hit here. I'll go with, how about Nolan Gorman and Teoscar Hernandez?
Okay. Squirrel, you got a couple for me?
Sure. I'm going to go Tommy Murphy and Randy Arozarena.
Okay, excellent. Let's take some QQs. Hey, make sure you're hitting us with a thumbs up because you got two of the sharpest minds in the biz and the greatest sports meteorologist, also the only one in the biz. So make sure you're hitting us with a little like for that on the YouTube. Free content. Doesn't get any better than that. Shout out to our sponsor, FanDuel, for it. Let's take some QQs. As always, we are starting in the RotoGrinders Discord. This is where we're hanging out all day long. You want to hang out with me? You can go to the RotoGrinders Discord. Let's take some QQs. Cheese, your favorite Cincy one-off against Miller in a single entry GPP?
That's a good question. Cincy is an interesting team. If I just had to pick one, hold on, let me double check this here. Yeah, I would go with Jake Fraley.
Cheese, do we want pitchers in Atlanta?
Not even a little bit, no.
Great, because this is one of those where if they don't late start, this is kind of in that Baltimore situation where if they don't late start, it would be trouble for pitchers. But the rain doesn't last as long as in Baltimore, so it's better for bats. All right, more QQs here. Roth, can you give us a percentage on a postponement for Baltimore? I hate doing percentages because the truth is I don't know. It's just a guess. 20-something%.
23. Can we call it 23?
23. We can call it, maybe a 1 in 4 shot. Let's go 27. Let's go, we'll go 27%. Let's see what else we got here. Which offense do you like better in cores? That's the question. Which offensive offense do you like better in cores in a DK GPP, Squirrel?
I will go with Oakland.
Okay. Which defense do you like? Never mind. Tom says, Squirrel, DK Cash at short, Correa or Lindor. Also, DK Cash at outfield, Suzuki or Kepler.
So shortstop Lindor. Sorry, it was Kepler and who?
It was Kepler versus Suzuki.
I'd go with Kepler.
All right. I think we got to do a little run back on things because people are coming in with like very basic questions that I feel like we should clear up. People are saying, is the weather safe in Chicago? I would not say it is safe in Chicago. Storms should and will likely arrive late tonight, but there's also going to be some pop-ups out ahead of that. And if they get a delay from one of those pop-ups, that next storm system could very well keep the game from playing and or only have us play 3-4 innings, whatever it is. So I do not think Chicago is safe. But if those storms miss, those pop-ups, and I can't tell you where they're going to be, the game is probably fine. So there's risk there. I'm fine with it in a GPP. I don't think you should play it in cash or have 100% exposure or whatever. We've got the late start in Baltimore. I mentioned there's still a chance of a postponement, but I don't think it's a great chance. And then Atlanta could very well be headed for a late start as well. We got, who are your favorite cash pitchers, Cheese, on DK? You need 2 of them.
Gausman and Wheeler.
Okay. And then
it's
if
worth
both
spending in cash.
Okay. And then if both of you are picking like one stack to win it all, let's say in a single entry, Squirrel, I will let you go first. Your favorite single entry stack.
Tampa Bay.
Okay. Very nice. Cheese.
Dodgers.
Okay. Excellent, guys. We still have 5 minutes until lock. Let's get back to the QQs. Fanduel single entry, Squirrel, first base, Olsen or Alonso. I'm not stacking either of these teams.
I'd go with Olsen.
Okay. Aside, says Fanduel Cash, Cheese, Jimenez or Rosario? Straight up.
Is that Jimenez with a G?
It is Jimenez.
Okay. Because that's in the weather game. Like I would say Jimenez, but in cash, if it's close, don't play in that Chicago game. So go Rosario.
I like it. All right. Falcor, Fanduel single entry, Squirrel first. Nope, we did that one. DK GPP, a better one off Carroll or Betts? It's got to be Betts, right? I don't know. Right?
Yeah, I'd go with Betts.
Yeah, he's good. I don't know much about baseball, but I know that dude's good. Rocky Raccoon says, Cheesy boy. Hey, Cheesy boy, do you think the old Phils can do the old pitch and Mitch around a few times? The hell is he saying? Yeah.
The pitcher against the Phillies is named Mitch, so that's where that comes from. So
okay. All right? So think the old Phils can dong old pitch and Mitch around a few times. So you think they can get some hits on him?
Okay. I mean, sure. On this big old slate, I mean, the Phillies are like 17th on my list, which is still very much on my list. But I mean, 17th is not high.
Okay. Very good. Fanduel, Squirrel, Schurz or Wheeler?
Let's see. Sorry, is it Scherzer or Wheeler?
Yeah.
It's really close, but I'd go Wheeler.
Okay. Cheese, do you mind Calzone on Fanduel as a cheap salary saving option batting 5th? It's actually Canzone, but I'm in the mood for a Calzone, so I changed him.
I don't mind him at all. He's a pretty legit baseball player.
Okay. DK single entry GPP, Squirrel, mini stack in some Toronto and Atlanta 2v2. Gausman Taylor or Wheeler Witt?
Gausman Taylor or Wheeler Witt? Go Wheeler Witt.
Okay. Luke Cage says, Squirrel, DK GPP, Swanson or your boy Wander Franco? It's no question. It's your boy, right?
Yeah, I'd go with Wander.
Yeah. All right. DK Cash, Cheese, Kepler, Wheeler, or Laureano and Max?
Laureano, Max.
Amateur Hour, DK single entry, Cheese. Your favorite since he won off against Miller? I feel like we did this one, but maybe not.
Yeah, Jake Fraley is what I said there.
Very good. Fanduel single entry, Squirrel, a Seattle mini stack. Any interest?
Yeah, Seattle mini stack. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Thumbs up for the Seattle mini stack.
Very good. Okay. I'm jumping into the YouTube real quick to see if I can get some questions here. JD Martinez, Mark says, Cheese, JD Martinez or Will Smith as a one-off on DK?
Will Smith. Love them both, though.
Okay. Jerry says, best guess on chalk bats in the outfield in FanDuel Cash. Squirrel, you got any thoughts on what the chalk is in cash? Or
I would say it's probably going to be like Minnesota bets, like maybe Max Kepler.
And probably Brent Rooker in there in cash.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Tankenstein says, hey, love the dream team. Thank you. Hey, I'm late. How are the bats in Baltimore? Not safe, but probably works out. So if you want some exposure, that's cool. I wouldn't put all your eggs in that basket. Some season-long questions coming in here. Let's see what else we got. Devers or Gorman, Cheese, Fanduel GPP?
I like Gorman.
Got 2 minutes until lock. Better in a DK tournament, Squirrel, cards or Reds? And are the Reds getting overlooked as a stack?
I don't really like the Reds that much. Like they're hitting outside of Cincinnati. So as cards or Reds, I'd probably go St. Louis.
Okay. Aside says, am I stupid? I love these questions. Am I stupid, Cheese? I only landed on one Oakland guy in FanDuel Cash. Am I doing it wrong?
Not at all. Yeah, you don't have to have any.
Nice. Very good. We got a post-lock question for Cheese. That's nice. FanDuel Rally, Cheese, Rally, or Kepler?
I like Rayleigh.
Okay, great. Punting second on DK, Squirrel, Massey or Remiard?
Massey, or I'd go with Massey.
Okay, this is probably his actual name. Yeah. Let's see. What will be higher, Twins home runs or Joey Gallo strikeouts? Cheese, Twins home runs or Joey Gallo strikeouts?
Just straight up tie 3-3.
Ooh, very nice. All right. I don't understand these questions sometimes, guys. Hey, we have hit the lock. We can do this post-lock question from Ross. Cheese, if you win a GPP with Singer tonight, will you be writing and performing a song in his honor? For those that don't know, Cheese is a very talented musician, singer-songwriter. So, Cheese?
Singer-songwriter.
Singer.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I win $50K or more with a singer lineup, I will get you a song.
Okay.
So no is the answer.
Cleveland Picker says, everyone has someone they look like. Has anyone ever mistaken me for Jerry O'Connell? I have no idea who that is.
Yo, look him up. You recognize, as soon as you see him, you'll be like, oh, I know that guy.
All right. Well,
I've actually met him in person.
Well, is he cool?
Actually, well, it was a totally random thing, but I was like trying to get into a bar in New York, and there was a small line. And I got out of a cab with like a friend and tried to get into the bar. And they're like, no, there's a line. And he was totally cool with it. He was like, oh, sorry. This is maybe 2000, the year 2000. Yeah. But he was, I think like Scream 2 had just come out. And he was in Scream 2. But he was totally, he didn't like start arguing or anything. He's like, how do you know who I am? I'm like, he's like, oh, cool,
nice.
Man. Walked away.
Okay. I approve. He looks like an absolute freaking lunatic in those photos. Like he looks like
he
a
has
true
a
psycho.
little bit of the crazy eyes going on for sure.
Yeah. Very intense. Like I do not trust him just based on those eyes. But all right. Let's see here if we got anything else we can address. Hey, have we mentioned you got to hit us with a thumbs up and subscribe? We do this every day, and believe it or not, we do it on weekends, and sometimes we do it like 2-3 times a day. I don't know how or why, but that's a thing that we do sometimes. So if you subscribe to us, you will know when we're going live and what's happening. So make sure you hit the like and the subscribe here. A few people saying, hey, great job, guys. Excellent work. You guys did do a great job. Good work, y'all. Let's see. I think with that, it's time to get out of here. I'm making pizza with my 2 little girls. We're going to do some pizza, and we're going to have ourselves a time. So for Cheese, for Squirrel, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.